So no fireworks, more bravery, more freedom. America.
Healing vibes.
Healing vibes. Thanks for your concern. Welcome back to Thanks for Your Concern. You're here with Ella.
And I'm Berenice. What's up, Ella?
Hey, baby girl. How are you doing this wonderful afternoon? A little midday coffee for you. How's life?
Life is good. I'm just like, I keep sewing. We're just gonna keep making stuff. I feel like I admire people who I see on TikTok and like they just have a lot of like stuff they made as inventory and they're just like whipping things out, and I'm like, how do they do that? And I truly believe it's just like by not making excuses and just like doing it. So I'm having a little bit of a different approach to life right now where I'm just like, just make the thing, and like, let's just get through it. Because I feel like sometimes I have a lot of ideas, and while I want to action all of them, it just takes me longer to action all of them if I'm like doing this and that. And right now I have like the time to just like focus and work on this scrap project I have, where I've become a bit of a hoarder in the sense of I collect my scraps of fabric, the pieces of fabric that essentially I don't really have a plan, but other people have paid for because it was like part of their outfits, and I don't really want to just like throw it away. So now I'm like, well, what do I do with all these things? And they're mainly all like lycra and like swimsuit like material. So I was like, girl, it's midsummer. Let's make some swimsuits that are all like one of a kind and like kind of funky. We'll see if they sell.
I bet they will.
Yeah, I'm like, why not? You know what I mean? Like, I have had a really good turnout of like everything I've made has sold eventually. So it's not like I make ugly shit. So why wouldn't they? So that's what we're focusing on this week.
Hell yeah.
How are you?
I'm dealing with the fucking vultures on Depop. They've been lowballing my ass.
Yes.
I honestly, okay, here's the thing. I personally like love to give someone a deal, but then sometimes I'm like, you're playing in my face right now with this offer. Because okay, so I'll tell you the one thing that like, I'm literally go on my Depop, it's Style Babes, I'll put in the fucking caption. It is like a really cool business. It's called Succeed. They're a ravewear from the UK. Really cool girl, bought it, doesn't fit me, my ass too fat. Brand new with tags, because shipping back to the UK was more expensive than just fucking keeping it. Yes. Brand new with tags, receipts, $140. Would you sell this for $18? Girl, that's crazy. Please, don't play with me. And then like, anyways, so I think it's kind of fun, but I've been having fun like getting rid of stuff. I'm definitely in a minimalistic era as I'm getting ready for this move. And oh my God, I forgot to tell you. So I was at my house, my old house / that I grew up in. I go upstairs to like into my room, and there's a fucking shrine of Orlando Bloom. And we literally talked about it on another episode with Gabby about how much I was in love with Orlando Bloom. I didn't even realize how serious it was, because like I always knew I was like obsessed with that man, but I had like literally a shrine in my childhood bedroom that's still up to this day.
Show us.
I will literally here
snap a pic. Add it on here.
And this is old. I think it had like more features.
Yeah, I was a very like, what is it, like the Pop Teen or those magazines with the Jonas Brothers and like the Disney stars. Those were mine.
Did you see it? Did you have it?
Let's take a look. Oh. I mean, I don't know if I would call it a shrine.
Well, it has some tool decorations. It has stickers. I DIY'd it.
Yeah. She DIY'd
Red
it.
Hot. You're mine. Kiss. Oh, I went a little crazy with a Valentine's. But
that's a really good picture of him, though. Like, I feel like that gets the vibe, right?
The Will Turner Orlando Bloom.
The hormones were high.
Yeah, I was obsessed. But I just thought that was so funny because we talked about it with our episode with Gabby. And you guys should go see that episode, because having a guest is fun when the guest has great things to talk about and some insider knowledge. Who doesn't love that?
100%.
Okay, I feel like let's get into the episode. We're doing America the Rebrand Part 2. It's been a while since we
Part
did
two,
this.
part two.
I was
Yeah.
feeling like on July 4th, let's talk about a rebrand. One thing I want to say, start off with hot, I'm kind of over fireworks. I said it. I feel like America the Rebrand should have less fireworks. I am all for a
Okay.
fireworks show that is safe. I think every Dick,
Okay.
Tom, and Harry buying fireworks and putting them off in the middle of the street and causing fires, exit. That's not how we should celebrate, by starting brush fires.
Okay, I agree with you. I think that they are dangerous. Personally, you can't find me lighting a firework. I got too much like secondhand trauma from my parents embedding that in me, that my fingers, those TV shows where they make your kid go through a traumatizing experience so you scare them out of something.
I
That was
think
my
that's a
parents with me.
I think that's a I don't know if that's international. It seems like it was very prominent in your Mexico City upbringing.
Yeah, they were like, "Don't fuck with fireworks; your fingers will get blown off." I did, however, meet somebody in high school, like one of my friends, who made fireworks. Obviously, as like
Yeah.
a 17-year-old, should we be making fireworks? I don't know. Why did he have access to explosive materials? Unclear. But at the time, I did think it was really cool because it was like so niche. That's that's different.
I remember going to his fireworks show in college, and I was like, this is like equal parts amazing and terrifying. Just because I just was like, what do you mean he just like mixed together explosives to
And
do
it's
this?
out.
Like, it was crazy. But I have a buddy who doesn't have fingers because of fireworks, and I've seen
Yeah.
enough like America's Funniest Home Videos where like dad shoots himself in the butt with a firework. I'm not interested. And then like it wreaks havoc on wildlife and pets and little children with ears. So I'm over it. So for the rebrand, we celebrate with something a little different.
I feel like it'd be nice to have a new vibe. Maybe like a mini drone show, like something else. I will say, like, this 4th of July, it right outside my building, like, I shit in Bushwick, it was just one after another, 9 to 3 p.m. I a.m. 9 to 3 a.m. Just blasting. Cat under the bed, cat nowhere to be found. It's a mess. But there was something kind of darling about, I like, we can insert another video of just back to back to back in the window. It was kind of crazy looking at it. It just kind of looked like shit was on fire in that room because it was like
Mm-hmm.
right after another. But yeah, I feel like, I don't know, it's modern times. Maybe we can find something else to light up the sky with.
What's your
Ooh.
America the rebrand? What do you think needs to be rebranded?
Well, there's so many things. I think we have it all wrong, to be honest. Again, we're starting with the color palette and like images of olden times. I feel like this like tradwife movement is really setting us back a bit. I've been reading the book like yesteryear,
Mm-hmm.
and I like the horror aspect of this novel. Again, a tale to set you straight about like the tradwife sort of like vibe that's been giving off. I think like there is an interesting image that now comes up with like women in conservative like America, that they're low-key feminists but they're like saying they aren't. And I would love if the rebrand consisted in kind of like showcasing how that is feminism, having the ability to like build your own brand even within a political field as a woman, and like doing conferences for other women saying like you can do it all and things like that. Like, that is female empowerment. Like, regardless of the political party that you're doing it from, there are roots of feminism in that,
I
you
feel
know
that I understand their pain, but I find that they are leading to the wrong solution. Because I'll be honest, I do think that the fact that we have more women who are working outside the home and still doing most of the homely duties is a lot. Like, it's a lot to have a career and be in charge of being a house manager, a full-time caregiver to the children. And I think that the tradwife movement is like in response to like that's too much for one person to carry. And I feel like where I come from is like I need to pick a partner who's willing to do the work at home you know,
Yeah.
and do the work with childbearing, and they're like, I need to find someone who can support me so I don't have to worry about money. What I find really, this is like America the Rebrand, like I think we have the wrong messengers selling a message. So all of the popular tradwives have careers. They're social media careers where they make
Yeah.
money, where they are
Yeah.
independent. Like if you think about Ballerina Farms, she literally, that's $1 million company that she is the face of, right? And so how, why the fuck is she like selling you guys a traditional lifestyle? She has a job. What? Like it just doesn't make sense to me. You know, like Erica Kirk, oh, you should have more money than more fucking kids than you can afford. This bitch was on Summer House and then like has a full-time job. Why is she telling you to stay at home and have more kids than you can afford? She can afford anything.
Yeah. I agree. Wrong messenger.
This happens with a lot of shit, and I just don't like it. I think we just have the wrong messengers who are like being the pioneers. Like, why is Donald Trump the working class president? That he has nothing to do with that. That doesn't make sense to me. That's the wrong champion.
No, dead ass. Yeah, you see, you bring up very good points about this, and I agree. And I think in part of the rebrand, I would love if we went back to like the raunchy era of reality TV as portraying life. I just feel like everything is getting a little bit overproduced in general.
Yeah.
The showtime is really show timing and everything. And I think as a society, we could really use like a little cleanse of self producing and just being our authentic selves and what that's being put out there. Obviously, like there's a way that people give you their information so that it's digestible to you and you feel like there's like an aesthetic tied to it. What I liked about the book yesteryear is like it portrays like the realness behind the tradwife sort of like lifestyle, because in a way, like when you're seeing it glamorized on social media and produced, it may look appealing, but like I don't know, at least for me, myself, and I, like having not a lot of like modern things in my life and like only doing that for a like for my life, it sounds a little bit atrocious. Now, don't want to ick anyone's yum in your way of living, but I think it would be cool to like see an actual vision of what that looks like. You know, like someone like an actual trad wife.
Let me tell you something, all right? We're losing the recipes, and I think that's something in America, the Rebrand, where we need to bring back the sauce, the recipes. And what I mean by that is the stories of actual traditional wives. We had trad wives, right? And then they fought to get rights
to not
because
be trad
to not be trad wives. Why is that? Is because it was problematic to not have another option.
Yeah.
I had like I talk about this a lot, like a really influential person, like my grandma, essentially. She had a situation where she was left in a time where women didn't have the type of independence that they have now. They couldn't open up a credit card. They couldn't like open up a mortgage on their own. They couldn't open up a bank account. They were seen as being pigeonholed into certain types of jobs that were low paying jobs. You think there's a coincidence that traditionally teachers are paid less and secretaries are paid less? It's because it's a traditional woman's job. You know what I'm saying? And so we're losing all these stories, and now people are like, oh, let's bring back tradwives. Babes, do you not realize why we got rid of tradwives? It was because it wasn't good.
Yeah.
People fought against this system that you're like wanting to put yourself in. It's insane.
Yeah. It made you legally, financially codependent on somebody else. And that's just not necessarily everyone's reality. Again, a production, a glamorization. I think like there's some documentaries that do a good job showcasing some tradwife aesthetics, especially in like religious groups, that I think you could look into. All right. I feel like you should look into. In America the Rebrand, I definitely want to see more gay anthems. I feel like we've lost some gay anthems. I mean, I think like last summer we had some good like Charlie XCX moments, but again, like she's British. Like, where are these American made in USA gay anthems coming from? Okay.
Dude, I think it's like the Zara Larsons of the world are putting out the gay anthems. It's coming from Norwegian countries, from the chicas in the in the Nordic countries. Have you heard the song "Good Puss" by Cobra? Oh, that's an
Oh,
anthem. It is like my favorite DJ
ooh,
song because people haven't really heard it. They're like, this is a jam. And
yeah.
anyways, I also loved when you didn't have to have like where you could have a one hit wonder come out of just like an authentic person putting out a music. Like I feel like we're kind of missing the like variety in music. I feel like only top artists are putting out songs that are becoming popular. Like what happened to the one hit wonders?
More EPs, more
More
EPs.
EPs. Yes.
I will say I do see this. I do see a little bit of a change in our modern times slowly. Like I do see a lot of like independent record labels popping up due to this
Mhm.
reason where it's like these people have too much control in the music that I'm able to, release, and people don't like that. So I do see as we have more like access to the internet and different streams and platforms, I feel like there is a potential to like move away from this model in general. TBD how that's going to work. But I do feel like that, in a sense, is facing the right direction for a good rebrand. I would like to see a rebrand, and I see the community, the grassroots movement from the bottom up of fashion being these like really like exclusive spaces. You know what I mean? Sometimes, like recently, I saw a TikTok of somebody kind of being critical of Willie Chavarria. And he's basically like a luxury designer that all of his clothes kind of like mimic or get inspired by Chicano movements. So you have like, big pants, and things that like are they're supposed to like relate to like the Mexican American culture and Mexican culture. And someone just kind of like criticized it by saying like, you've taken this and made it a luxury item so that people in your communities actually can't access it, right?
Mhm.
So like there's a little bit of like and it plays in fashion that feels a little icky when you lose the accessibility by the things that you are inspired by or by the community that you come from, that I feel like is kind of whack. There is like margins where as you become a luxury designer you can make more money, which I am not like super anti-capitalism. Okay, it's nice to come from nothing and make money. It's nice
Yeah.
to have money in general, but I do believe that it would be nice to create a kind of like a middle space where designers in this like art forms, because like that's why I feel like sometimes luxury designers they're like it's part of an art form,
Mhm.
are reaching out towards like the communities where they get all their inspiration from. A lot of like designs, they're like trickle up fashion. So it's like you get a lot of inspiration from marginalized communities, from people that are like in their rooms with their sewing machine, like updating their own clothes that they got at thrift stores. So, I would love that to be rebranded, a little bit more accessibility into these spaces and a little bit more of like a bridge in between these groups of people that are so tightly inspired by each other but have such like a wealth gap.
I see this in a way where it's like where big brands are like, how everyone's in their like Chinese era and they're having those ties is in everything. This is the internet saying that. I'm not saying that, but you know what I'm saying. And then everyone has the same ties that is like very found very often in traditional Chinese clothing. And it kind of like icks me when I'm like, damn, it trickled up so much that no one who created this is benefiting from this design, because we're seeing this design in like very mainstream artists where I would wager based on the makeup of these companies that like we're not getting people in these communities who are like a part of the design, a part of the modeling, and a part
Yeah.
of the process. And so I would kind of like if brands made a more intentional choice to like either collab with a smaller designer who's from that community and like you know what I'm saying, so it actually like means something versus oh it's popular, let's rip it. That's just a personal view
It's
of
lost
mine.
its soul.
It's lost the soul.
Bring back the soul. I think that's the biggest conversation, right? Is bring back the soul. Bring back. And a lot of the soul really does have to do with culture.
Hmm.
I see the soul a lot in New York, but that's also because it's like you get everything here. There's soul everywhere, and like communities are able to, I feel like, express themselves a little more because there's more of their. And it leads to great things. Like, I think, Mom Donnie's New York is a good example. Like, we got some people that are mad, but we got a lot of people that are not mad.
I'm hoping for more people who are keeping it real. He drives a very straight campaign. I honestly think in America, the rebrand, we need to do away with like insider tradings that is just politicians trading. It's insane. It's out of control. Of
It's
course,
out of control. Yeah.
it's out of control. And like, to be honest, I don't even know, like, insider trading is technically illegal, and like what I feel like a lot of politicians are doing is worse, is because they're literally influencing, or they're making decisions on policy that influence.
Legislation. Yeah.
Yeah. And
For their beneficial economic gain. Like, that is crazy to me.
they are supposed to be servants of the people, representatives of the people, and they
Yeah.
are not functioning in a way that's like working for the people. And it makes me so sad because we have like people who are way more close in economic statuses, so their lives are a lot more alike. Like, I know that someone who is different from me politically but makes about the same amount of money as me is probably going to have very similar struggles as to me than someone who is in my same political party but makes $1 million. We're not going to relate as much. Like, that's just like the point blank period of it all. And I just hate that like the representatives that are representing us are just giving us bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. They're saying like things are good for us, but it's not good for us. It's only good for us if it's also good for them.
I think like access to specific things. It's interesting, like living in different places in the US really makes you realize how like information is just different in different places, and in education in general. Like,
Mm-hmm.
with the Seattle Public School District, they do a hell of a fucking job there. Okay, I see
Mm.
how like the school district is in New York for public schools, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is not the same level of education that I got, and we're both in a public school system, and it makes me kind of sad because it's like
Right.
you shouldn't have a different access to like education based on where you grow up. Trump has gotten elected twice. Twice I've been baffled, okay? But there has to be obviously communities that I don't see. I hang out with people that are like-minded. Obviously, I'm not seeing these communities in middle America. So sometimes I get curious. So I'll go on YouTube and I'll type in a random place like Kentucky, never been there. I'm like, wonder what that's like, wonder what the people are there like. And I'll go on YouTube and like kind of look at a lot of YouTubers do like smaller docu-series on like places in middle America. And there I'm able to understand a little bit better of like, okay, I see where their information and education is coming from. So I can't really like blame people for like choosing what they know. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I also see that some like government programs that are, pushed on by more like socialist parties would really benefit these communities. Like, they would be
Yes.
the most impacted. And they're predominantly like white communities that are like just honestly like in poverty. That's something that as a rebrand, I feel like it would be a huge game changer if all across America could have the same level of education and resources. What a rebrand that would be.
That was literally on my list because it saddens me that we've been led to believe that equal education, healthcare are not possible in this country. We have the resourcing and the ability to do so. And no matter what, a child in the US should have the same education, whether they're in the middle of America, in a metropolitan city, or even in Seattle. It's not as big of a deal as it used to be, but like there definitely was differences even within neighborhoods, within the quality of the education because of how it's tied to property taxes. And to me, it is so sad to me that we have like, I have a friend who's a teacher and she says that like all of her students like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? YouTuber, fucking streamer, like YouTuber streamer, almost every single person. And like, while there's nothing wrong with that, wow, she doesn't have a single person in her classroom that wants to be a doctor. And like part of it is because we don't value education, and the other part of it is because I think people see, well, how can I make the most money? It's not a doctor, even though it would be a doctor for most people, but you know what I'm saying? It's like everyone should be able to get an education and they shouldn't have to go into debt for it. I truly believe that. And people are like, "Oh, what if you don't want to go to college?" Okay, well, what if you don't want to do a lot of things? Like, I pay for taxes for schools. I don't have a kid. We don't,
Yeah.
we, there, it seems like a college education is the only thing that we question. Like, well, what if I don't use it? You pay for roads you don't go on, you pay for hospitals you don't go to. Like, there's a million things our taxes go to that you don't get to utilize. There's people who pay for libraries that don't go to libraries, right?
Yeah.
Obviously I believe that we should also pay for trade school, but if everyone got a free education, I think a lot more people would go. It is cost prohibitive, and that makes me sad.
Yeah. And I think that's also keeps control, right? So, like, being able to choose what some people get educated on creates the type of mindset that you can create in somebody to not develop critical thinking skills in specific genres of education. I would say, like, with racial studies and gender studies, and like how big of a push that is to take that out of schools. Like, ever wonder why is that push to take that out? And that is because you're like awaken another part of your conscience where like shit starts to make sense. You know, you're like looking at a bigger picture and seeing how gender and racial dynamics work in the US and the history of those that were not often taught in what your like school curriculum is. And I again will say, like, growing up in Seattle and now talking to people about different things, where in Seattle in my social studies class when I was a sixth grader, they taught us different religions and like their basic principles. And I
Yeah.
remember really fucking with Buddhism, okay? And I
Girl, me
really,
too.
and I feel like that really obviously changed the way that I connected to like the Catholic Church growing up or whatever. And now when I'm having conversations with people and they're like, are you religious? I'm like, I'm kind of spiritual. I really, like vibe with these principles of Buddhism. I find Hinduism like really interesting. And they like don't really know what I'm talking about. And I was like, did you not get taught this in your sixth grade social studies class? And they're like, no. And I feel like it's a disservice to not give an insight of the world and like these different opinions, different views, so that people can form their own. Like, as much as, yes, we have access to the internet, it's hard to start from nothing.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. So it's like, how would you even know what to fucking search for? And unfortunately, I feel like the internet often is more clickbaity and it ends up getting you to the wrong place unless you know what you are looking for.
And it's not easy to build a framework of what should I be looking for. I think that that's something that at this point I have enough experience where like I can kind of like build a religion 101 for myself, but that's just like taught through critical thinking, and that's not the framework in which every school is taught. And it just ultimately makes me really I mean, I don't talk about this a lot, but I went to like an alternative school from K through 8th grade that was the value statement was arts education based on social justice learning, right? So that was my experience K through 8. I am telling you, if I went to a lawmaker in Florida and told them about my education, their fucking brain would explode, right? They would just literally freak the fuck out because they think that people are instilling ideas into people's heads. And it's actually quite the opposite. When you expose people to everything and you don't limit what they're getting exposed to, they have the ability to like form their own opinions. And it's just like kind of this crazy hypocrisy that goes on where people don't realize that when you limit someone's education on topics, you are doing exactly what you're like accusing the people who are trying to educate people on those topics of doing, which is limiting, like trying to like implant
You're still
beliefs into them.
controlling
Yeah,
their
you're controlling
consumption.
the narrative.
Yeah. And I think a good example of this, a new show just came out for Legally Blonde, and it's like Elle, but she moves to Seattle when she's 16.
I have
And
a
in
hot
Seattle,
topic about this.
yeah.
Yeah, you go and then I'll tell you my
Okay.
take on
But
it.
like it basically gives you like the root, like her roots of social justice, like where that stemmed from. And then they paint Seattle as this like super social justicey activist place, which actually like is not that. I think the way they portray it is a little extra from the reality. And I get that's why like that reminded me of that, because I was like, well, that's where she got her activism roots from.
I'm excited to watch the full thing. I will say in the trailer, like the thing about that I thought was funny was like they're like, oh, everyone's grunge. Dude, Nirvana and grunge was underground. It was a minority group, and even in a school like mine where you had a lot more like grunge punk kids, they didn't like bully popular kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, "Oh, she wears pink. You can't hang out here." That's like not the reality of Seattle, right? Like they really didn't give a fuck. You're supposed to do your own thing. That's the biggest thing about the punk movement is be who you are. So it's like I don't think that, and I think it's just this broader topic of like if minorities groups become the majority, are they going to oppress the same way? And it's like, no, they're not. Like, if punk kids became the majority of this country, they're not going to discriminate on the straight edge kids.
Because the sentiment is the same. Like the sentiment that goes against like the popular culture or, like white supremacy is that it's trying to suppress minority groups. If minority groups are not suppressed, then, like we start to heal as a
Yeah.
society. And I think it would get rid of a lot of like the anger between and like conflict between racial groups. But that's just me.
Once we become in power and we don't imprison them, then they'll release the fear. You hear it
I
here
mean,
first.
everybody's so scared of each other. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and truly, I believe that when you look at political campaigns, sometimes they make you do that, and they feed that narrative. When in reality, like it's not like that. Like
It's fear
it's
based. It's
it's
fear
fear
based
based,
motivation, and it's
used
a
to control
sad
you.
it's a sad way to look at the world, and it makes me I just don't I just feel like the worldview that I hold makes me a happier person. I
Yeah.
think that there are certain like worldviews that must make the world feel very scary and very isolating, and they're banding together, but I think it's coming from a place of untruth and misinformation. I don't think you need to fear immigrants. I know you don't need to fear immigrants, right? Like I just know that to be true. I don't want to live in a world where I have to fear immigrants, and I'm sure living in a world fearing immigrants does make immigration scary.
I think we need to take one from the U.S. itself. It's supposed to be like the land of the free and the brave. There's not a lot of braveness going on. There's a lot.
Hell yeah.
I see a lot of fear, and I think as part of the rebrand, I would love to see more courage and braveness all around, even in your like interpersonal relationships. Like I see so many people not speak up about things they don't like in their friendships and their relationships out of like fear of abandonment, fear of, these different things. So like I feel like as a society, if we moved with a little less fear, a little more courage, we would like really open up as a society if we were to. I see it in my day to day because we're on a pathway to citizenship, and with these times with immigration, as an immigrant, people are being really controlled by the administration, obviously policies, but also by fear. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I feel
Yeah.
like I've grown up in a family where fear was so embedded in how I had to act growing up, and still to this day, like you can't use any government services. So it's like when I choose to maybe not have a 9 to 5 and have a little bit more of a like a clandestine lifestyle, which really isn't, I'm stable, but it comes down to like my parents embedding that fear back of like, well, just remember, like you can't use any government assistance, so like you have to keep yourself like afloat and like look like this ideal citizen for when you apply
Mhm.
for citizenship. And I've really like like that's something like that always speaks into me, and I feel like that gives me anxiety. But in my day to day, I like really try to challenge myself like not to work from a place of fear, because if not, this shit's gonna control me forever. So America the brave.
That's like a bravery that most people would never think about, right? Like you would never think about it if you didn't know someone. But that experience is brave and like, proud of you. But I do feel like I would love for people to have the bravery to change their mind. I want people to have the bravery to change their mind, and for other people to have the bravery to accept people who maybe had a different mindset like 6 months ago. Like I still feel like I believe in growth opportunities for every human being, and to like be brave to choose different. And I would hate for someone to basically stay where they're at because they're afraid of isolation from the group that they were a part of, or feel like they aren't going to be accepted at all. So yeah, there's like bravery to like forgive. I think there needs to be like some sort of healing in this country in like the next 10 years. We got a lot of hurt
America the
feelings.
healing, America the brave.
Yeah, baby. But that is America the Rebrand. I have a feeling that I think this is a better rebrand episode than last time. I think last time we did a lot of hee hee ha ha's, but this
Yeah.
one was a little bit of balance of both. So no fireworks, more bravery, more freedom. America.
Healing vibes.
Healing vibes. She's in her healing era. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Please reach out to us. We love to hear from you guys. Make sure that you send this to a friend. It helps us out a lot. And you can follow our journeys on social media at thanks number 4 your concern. I'm at Ella L Tutor.
I'm at Berenice and Ella.